I'm Arthur Kade for Celebrity Page, and I'm chatting with Mackenzie Phillips about her incredible new book, Hopeful Healing. Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade, and we're gonna do some hopeful healing, Mackenzie Phillips.
I am hopeful that I can heal you, Arthur.
God, there's no
Heal! Sorry.
This nose has been broken 5 times. That was about to be
do
6.
the push on the forehead.
God,
you know?
And that would have been my 6th nose break. You accidentally hit me and
I'm a televangelist. I'm not a televangelist.
She's an author, that's for sure.
Right.
Hopeful Healing, you detail your journey back from the abyss and how you fixed yourself and now you're fixing other people. Tell me all about it.
Well, High on Arrival came out in 2009. Totally different kind of book, right? High on Arrival was a memoir that detailed my life up to that point, right? And in between then and now, things have changed tremendously. In a great way. I've gone back to school and I work as a drug and alcohol counselor at Breathe Life Healing Center in West Hollywood, California. Thank you very much. It's just been a lifelong dream of mine to be like when I was a little kid. I was like, Mommy, I want to be an abnormal doctor for people who can't think right? Because I saw like all these adults around me. I'm like, why are they doing the things that they're doing? I was so interested in behavior and what spurs on the behavior of different people. And now I've gotten to live my dream of working with others and, doing my thing. And I love it.
Because people know your story, is it more effective in helping you help people? Do they say, okay, we know your story, Mackenzie, therefore we are more apt to listen to what you will tell us?
Well, interestingly enough, I treat a lot of young people who have no idea of my story, but they relate to me because they know I'm not fucking around. They know I'm serious, and they know I've been where they are 11 times. Thank you very much. So it's not like they're. Although when I do get a client who's more age similar to me, they'll be like, "Oh my God, you're Julie from One Day at a Time," and I'm like, "Yes, that's true." But I'm also here to be, your counselor and work with you on your substance use disorder. Can we put that aside? And it's turned out to work very well.
When you revealed everything in your first book, how difficult was that to put all of that history into the public?
It was definitely, I must be very naive because I did not have an expectation of the storm of backlash that would occur. I actually didn't. Maybe I should have been more well prepared, but it was difficult. It was not only difficult for me, it was difficult for many members of my family, and we have been working hard since then to get more to a place of understanding and balance. But yeah, it was tough. But see, at the same time, maybe it was tough for my family but it was such we opened up a national dialogue about something that people rarely talk about, and a lot of people were helped and assisted in feeling like they could be heard. So,
when you look at growing up as part of a famous family, people don't understand. I'm around famous people all day, and I used to want to be famous when I was young, and then you're around these people, and you're like, God, I don't want to be famous. There's so much pressure with this. Everybody wants something. Cameras are always flashing. People don't understand the pressure of being famous, do they?
Well, all I can say is that I'm glad I was really famous a long time ago. Because I'm not like super famous. Cameras aren't following me around and stuff like that, which is an incredible.
Can you imagine with social media, by the way, what it would be like?
No. Valerie Bertinelli and I would have been like all over the internet all the time. And so we got to be famous, super famous in a different time, right? And so now when I see the pressure of the young people being followed by cameras all the time and watching their every move and the frustration, and then they lash out, and then we shame them for lashing out because there's so much pressure. How else are they going to deal with it, right? So it's very hard, and I have so much compassion for the young people that are coming after me and after me and after me. I really do, but I feel very lucky that I'm not as famous as I used to be. It's actually quite a nice thing.
You go through some examples in this book of some really tough stuff in terms of how you were as a mother. It's really tough stuff to reveal. Is it therapeutic when you're writing this stuff down and revealing it? Is it horrifying? Is it difficult? What's going through your head as you're detailing these experiences?
It's a great question because I really had to look at my motives for writing Hopeful Healing. And I have to tell you that I want more than anything, I'm so passionate about helping people. I have been through hell and back, okay? But I got back. And so many people who are living the same kind of life that I'm detailing without the famous part, forget that. That has nothing to do with it, okay? That's the framework around the reality, okay? So those people that are struggling and that are having trouble parenting and that maybe, have been arrested or any of these things, or maybe they've been incested and their family doesn't believe them. I want to reach them. I want to reach the person who might be suffering. I want to reach the family members of the person that they're concerned about so that they might have a tool, a tangible thing that they can hold in their hands that might inspire them or help them to change. I'm so serious about this.
There was a documentary on HBO recently talking about the heroin epidemic in New England. And it was fascinating to me because until you see it firsthand and people talking about it, you don't realize how difficult it is to kick this habit and how it consumes your life. This is going to sound like a totally naive question, but I think you'll understand it. How difficult is it when you're in the throes of that world and that addiction?
There's nothing else because you're living in the cave. Like here, this is me talking about my life outside of the cave, right? The cave of the mind, right? Me talking about my life from inside of the cave would be a totally different thing because you can't see things as they are. Your perception is distorted. Your brain has been rewired for survival, and survival becomes the drug. It becomes food and water. It's actually a scientific process that happens in the neural pathways in the brain, which I won't bore you with, but trust me, you can Google it and find out about that stuff. And so it feels like it will never change. And then you decide, okay, I'm going to taper myself off. I'm going to do less. And then you get so sick that you're not going to die because you won't die from opioid withdrawal. You will wish that you could.
Were there moments that you were just like, I'm done with this thing called life, I'm done?
Never. I have never been suicidal. I have wanted to wake up dead, like to feelings and emotions and reality, but I never wanted to not be alive.
One of the things that fascinates me, both in the first book and the second book, is, and I was in therapy for 12 years, so I understand this. I
totally
don't try.
get it.
I'm like a therapy nut. I overanalyze everybody I meet. Everybody will tell you that. Who knows
I
me?
want to know what's your take on me?
I don't know you well enough
Okay.
yet. I mean, I here's what people don't understand. We become who we were as children. It's called regressive behavior.
Yes.
So, with that being said, in my situation, I didn't grow up close with my father, so everything in my life was all about impressing my father. This just turned into let's talk about Arthur Kade's life. But I grew up.
I turned the tables on you there.
Better job than I'm doing at this. But my whole life was all about impressing my parents, so it drove me.
Yes,
where
so
I
you
know
were driven to succeed.
Correct.
In order to measure up.
and still have that same problem, and it's
Overachiever.
subconscious. Exactly. You, because of what you dealt with from an incest situation, you saw things and interpreted them as normal that weren't normal.
Correct.
Like you talk about, obviously, your father shooting up in the bathroom while you're a kid, and you had the same type of experiences with your son. When you detail that, when you relive that, like, do people get it? I always wonder, do people understand that you viewed things as normal that weren't normal?
I can tell you that on the way over here in the car, I was reading a piece that Radar Online.
I love how you just took lift
I
off
did.
me, by
I
the way.
did.
That's so awesome.
The piece that Radar Online just put up online, it was like, Mackenzie Phillips admits monster mother behavior. And I leave my kid out of it, dude, But at the same time, no, people don't understand that we recreate our trauma.
Yes.
We recreate our trauma. It might not be the exact same situation like mine was. It was basically the exact same situation. My 4-year-old was knocking on the door and I was shooting up. When I was 15, I knocked on the door and my dad said, "Not now, darling, Daddy's shooting up," right? I literally, not figuratively, not theoretically, literally reenacted my trauma in my own life, an exact representation of it, right? That tells me so much about the traumatized nervous system, because trauma is just your central, your sympathetic nervous system being completely it's thrown offline, and so it's very hard to get back into homeostasis, which is balance, right? So you're constantly reenacting your trauma or your relational trauma in different relationships. You know what I'm talking
I
about.
100% do. I've had these conversations. I paid a lot of money to have these conversations.
I paid a lot of money to learn how to talk like this.
Oh, I want to ask you about One Day at a Time.
Yes.
Obviously, such an iconic show. And
Yes.
like every iconic show, they bring it back with a reboot. Mm-hmm. What do you think about One Day at a Time coming back? And they brought Rita back, too, which is pretty cool.
I did a cameo. I played Justina Machado's therapist
She's a talented young lady.
on
by the way.
episode 8. She's amazing. And Rita Moreno, there's nothing like being around her. There's nothing like it, guys.
No one has energy like her at that age.
She's 84.
Especially. Yeah, it's insane.
And she's dancing on set, and she remembers her lines, and she's amazing. And I got to work with Norman again, Norman Lear, who I've known since I was 15 years old, 16 years old. And so that was incredible. But I was there on set, and while I'm, my life is going on back at Breathe Life Healing Center, and I'm sitting there in my dressing room going, I wonder what my clients are doing. I wonder if I have time to run over there and get in a session with my client, So it's a push me, pull you kind of thing.
When you look at Norman, I
Yes.
interviewed him for his documentary.
Another version of me.
Another version of me.
Great doc.
What do you think about? He's pioneered so much of great television. What do you think of television today? Having seen it back then, what do you think of it today?
What do you think I think of it today? There are great things on television, and then there are things on television that I just don't watch, because you know what great television looks like.
There's a lot of it right now.
There's
a lot of garbage too.
There's a lot of garbage too, but I mean, like One Day at a Time, we dealt with stuff that no one was dealing with back then. I mean, people think of us as like sort of a fluffy family sitcom, but we were dealing with a divorced mom, which that was a very underrepresented portion of the population in 1975. It just wasn't happening on television that you would see a single mom raising 2 daughters or a single mom raising a son. And we dealt with, losing your virginity on television in 1976. Am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? He says that only freaks and weirdos don't do it when they feel like it. These are the kind of stuff that we got to do on One Day at a Time. It was cool.
Is it hard having a famous last name? You're born into pressure. Your dad is a rock and roll Hall of Famer, an icon. Is it tough when you're young and you have that last name?
I don't think I ever considered it, because I started as a successful actress at the age of 12. So before that, there's, you don't really consider the pressure of having a famous last name at 11. At least I didn't, right? But I started working consistently as an actor at the age of 12. And so I kind of always felt like it was a level playing field in my family. Like, I'm famous. Hi, Dad, you're famous. We're famous. It was weird. Like, it was like, it's a strange family dynamic. When I remember once I was at the Ivy on Robertson in Beverly Hills, and Jack Nicholson was there, and I went up to say hi because I hadn't seen him in years, and I said, "Hey, Jack," and he goes, "Hey, how's the Phillips Dynasty?" And I went, oh, the Phillips Dynasty. I never thought of us that way. It's interesting, right?
Speaking of Jack, by the way,
Yeah.
he's coming out of retirement. Did you read this whole thing?
No.
Yes, they just
Yes.
announced it. He is they're doing a remake of Tony Erdmann, which is going to win the Oscar potentially for Best Foreign Picture this year. And he's coming out of it with Kristen Wiig.
Oh, my God.
What do you think about Jack Nicholson coming out of retirement?
I think it's the best news that I personally have heard all day, because I love him. I think he's a wonderful actor. I just think it's great. When he sort of crawled under the rock, I was like, wait, where's Jack? I'm happy.
What's he like behind the scenes? He's my favorite. He's my all-time favorite, by the way. So I want to know.
When I knew Jack, my stepmother Michelle was married to Jack Nicholson for 5 minutes, right?
I know.
So when I knew Jack, I was a teenager. He was just, cool guy.
He's the coolest.
He was a cool guy. I didn't realize how famous he was. I really didn't.
When you're in that circle, when you're around fame, is it an insulated circle? Like, do you guys not know that you guys are famous or mega famous?
I don't know. I mean, I never thought about it. I mean, I don't know. Probably it is so insulated that, I think very famous people are very careful about the people they allow in their proximity. And other very famous people probably feel safer than the raw public. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah. Although that's not something I've ever did. I bring in strays. I'm like, you have nowhere to go to Thanksgiving? I don't know you, but come to my house. Come on, we got some food. We're all vegetarians. You're not going to get turkey, but I'll feed you.
Is healing people now your life's calling? Is this it? Is this what you want to do for the rest of your life?
This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I love it. Nothing has other than being a mom, and I'm not a monster mom radar online. F you for that.
No, I was actually, I think an
Oh,
article.
I just gave the finger to the
No.
camera. Sorry.
F you, Radar Online.
don't-
No,
they
I was
always-
reading an article about how close you are with your son now. I think it's amazing.
My son is amazing. He just turned 30. It's like the best. Look, people say to me, "Oh my God, I've been praying for you. I'm so sorry about your life." I'm like, please don't feel sorry for me. I have risen above. I've climbed out of the rabbit hole. I'm no longer in the cave. Rejoice with me.
I'm going to ask you final question.
Okay.
And I don't want the stereotypical, well, I'm happy I went through this because it made me who I am answer.
Okay.
But
Okay. Oh Lord.
everybody, because that's everybody's answer.
Yes,
but
it's a stock answer.
because listen, we would all go back and change things in our life. But when you look back, do you wish that fame and success hadn't hit you as early as it did? Would your life, in your opinion, have been different had that not happened?
I'm sure my life would have been different, but I don't wish, because I think, look, I can't manifest that miracle, so why even consider it?
That's a heck of an answer. That's a perfect answer. Make sure to check out this incredible lady's book. It's called Hopeful Healing. I love your story. I got to tell you, I ripped through this. One of the things I love is it's short. Because
Yeah.
past 100 pages, I'm ready
You're
to.
down. It's over.
I can't. So this is right around that. But I love everything you're doing. People don't understand the struggle is real. What you've gone through is hell. I've seen people go through drug addiction. It's brutal.
It can be really, it is really brutal.
And the
But
fact
you know
that-
what? My whole point is there is a solution. There is a way out. You don't have to live that way anymore. Ask for help. It's the hardest thing to do, but it's the best thing to do.
And especially heroin, people don't make it out. Like you see, when I was watching that HBO documentary and they're interviewing people, and it's 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds, and then they're going back to the epilogue and they're like, she died, he died. You don't make it out alive.
Did you hear the story about the Ohio, the overdoses in Ohio about 2 weeks ago? I guess they got a bad batch of heroin or fentanyl-laced heroin. There was an article that they did not have enough room in the morgue to store the bodies.
Unbelievable.
28 overdoses, 28 deaths from accidental overdose. I think it was in a 24-hour period. I might be wrong. It might have been a little bit longer. We are in the grips of an epidemic in this country. People are dropping like flies. Come on. Why wouldn't I do this? If I could make one little bit of difference in one family's life, why wouldn't I? This incredible gift of recovery and a beautiful life that I've been given, I feel beholden to share it with other people.
You just earned a hug. Come on over.
Thank you,
That was
Arthur.
awesome.